Hey guys, we are Sean and Christy. This is Long Long Honeymoon, and today we are talking about a fantastic travel destination about which we are true experts.
Definitely experts.
The city of Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama.
Our hometown.
In this video, we're going to give you 5 great parks that you can visit in the Birmingham, Alabama area. You may find yourself coming through here, especially if you're headed to Florida. All of you Canadian snowbirds.
If you come down I-65, you're going to drive right through the heart of Birmingham. A lot of people actually will come through Birmingham on their way to South Florida just to avoid having to go further to the east through like Atlanta because of the amount of traffic in Atlanta, the number of people in Atlanta. That can be really stressful to tow through, so Birmingham is a nice alternative. We do have traffic, but nothing compared to our neighbor.
The city of Birmingham, the metropolitan area, has a population of around 1 million people. But it has a great foodie scene that we'll probably talk about in the future, and a number of great parks, which we're going to talk about right now. Number 5, the symbol of the city, Vulcan Park and Museum. Vulcan is the largest cast iron statue in the world.
Yep, and he's right here in Birmingham, sitting on top of Red Mountain.
So this is a statue of the god of fire and brimstone, which is a symbol of the summers we endure here. And an interesting little fact about Vulcan, he's not wearing pants. Actually, he's wearing pants that cover his front,
But not really.
not his buttocks area. So Vulcan is actually mooning the community of Homewood in Birmingham.
They refer to him sometimes as the moon over Homewood. Yeah, it's actually a really cool place to visit. They actually have a little museum there.
See, there was a time when Birmingham was a big steel town, and a lot of pig iron was produced here, whatever pig iron is. And so Vulcan was kind of a symbol of the city and of the furnaces that were burning in the Birmingham area to produce that iron.
Yeah, because Vulcan is technically the god of fire and the forge. Back in the 40s, they covered up his spear that he holds with a light, so it looked like he was holding a torch. They would put a red light on if there had been a traffic fatality in the previous 24 hours. And if there had not been a traffic fatality, it was a green light. So you could always know if somebody had died in a car accident in Birmingham by the color of Vulcan's light.
Yeah, there were 2 problems with this. One, it was kind of depressing to look up and you see the red light and it's like, oh, somebody died in a traffic accident. 2, it became so commonplace it was kind of a strobe light. It was going off about every 60 seconds. Number 4, Railroad Park. Railroad Park is a relatively new park, whereas Vulcan is more than a century old. Railroad Park is about 10 years old, and this is a beautiful park that has been built kind of in the center of the city of Birmingham.
It's right along the railroad tracks. So when you're at the park, the trains that go through downtown Birmingham will go right past the park on one side. They're on like an elevated platform. On the other side of the park is actually the Birmingham Barons baseball team stadium. And from the park, they have a pond. They have a nice track that goes all the way through the park, so you can walk the whole loop of the park. You can see all of downtown skyline from the park. And they also have a lot of outdoor activities at Railroad Park throughout the year. They'll have the symphony play. They have live music, just local bands and that sort of thing. And then they also have events like yoga on the green and just different activities like that. But it's also just a fun place to grab a picnic lunch and spread out a blanket and enjoy the day.
And there are a number of great bike trails there. In fact, there is a bike trail that runs all the way to the number 3 place to visit in the Birmingham area, Sloss Furnaces National Historic Landmark. Now this place to me is totally unique and weird. Sloss Furnaces is a National Historic Landmark which operated as a pig iron producing blast furnace up until 1971. It was originally built back in the 1880s. And after they closed it down in the 70s, it became one of the first industrial sites in the United States to be preserved and restored for public use. So you'll go to Sloss Furnaces and there's just this massive industrial complex. And it's sort of strangely scenic or atmospheric.
Yeah.
And there are actually a lot of events that are held there. People get married there, as strange as that may seem.
Like wedding receptions there. They have concerts there.
There's a haunted house there every year.
They're during Halloween, which is awesome if you ever get a chance to go, because it's the really cool setting for a haunted house. They still do classes on like metalworks and that sort of thing, so you can actually sign up and go and take a class there and, you know, make a piece of art with metal. So that's pretty cool. But they have tours that you can do that sort of tell you all about the furnace and the process of how they used to make products that they produced there, the pig iron.
Sloss Furnaces is a completely distinctive and unique experience. I haven't seen anything else in the United States quite like it. Totally weird, but that's kind of what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So I would recommend it.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting place too for little kids, because they've got some really cool things that kids can climb on. Like they've got an old train that's there in the yard that kids can climb on. They've got all sorts of lookouts that you can climb up and look out and look around, and it just feels like you're in the middle of this deserted construction.
It has kind of a post-apocalyptic feel to it, you know?
A lot of people do photo shoots there that are supposed to be like really artsy and edgy or whatever, but it's a cool place, and it's an interesting visit for sure.
Next on our list is the type of place you wouldn't expect to find in Alabama. It's a place called Barber Motorsports Park, and it is one of the most beautiful European-style race courses that you're ever going to see. It's one of the best in North America. It's only roughly 10 to 15 years old, and it was built by a local entrepreneur. Cost approximately 70 or 80 million to build. I don't know the exact number, but that is the rumor.
But he paid for it himself.
First of all, there is a museum that houses George Barber's sort of private collection of motorcycles.
And it's the largest collection in the world, I believe.
Definitely one of the most impressive collections of motorcycles that you're ever going to see in your life. Another thing that happens at Barber Motorsports Park, it is the home of the official Porsche factory driving experience. So there are a lot of Le Mans winning drivers who work there as instructors. So if you are into sports cars, if you're into Porsche, then you can actually take a class. It's a multi-day class and drive Barber Motorsports Park.
In a brand new Porsche with a driving instructor. So it's a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah, it's really awesome because you can go out there and you never know what you're going to see. I've seen some of the really exotic Porsche cars. I'm talking about like the Carrera GT and the 918 Spyder, true exotics that you just don't see anywhere else. Sometimes Porsche will have them there. They'll be putting them through their paces and doing some testing. And there are frequently events at the park. Yeah. Like local sports car clubs can actually rent the park and drive it. I've driven it myself before, very slowly I might add. There are also IndyCar racing events that happen there, and there are vintage racing events that happen there.
So check their calendars, because those events go out through the year. And if it's a weekend where they're having one of those events, you can actually take your RV there and park for the weekend. They have RV parking passes that they sell with these events, so you could be right there on site.
It's a really unique environment to watch a race because it is truly like a park. There are hills, there's over 80 feet of elevation change in the race course. You know, they've really left a lot of the forest intact around that area. So even though it is beautifully developed and landscaped as a park, there are a lot of trees, there's a lot of shade. There are places you can just spread out a blanket and bring in a cooler even, have a beer, and watch the race unfold. Yeah. If you're into watching racing, then you have to check it out, because you're not going to find any park any more beautiful than Barber Motorsports Park.
And even if you're not a huge motorcycle or race enthusiast, I think it's definitely a place worth visiting, because the museum itself is so beautiful. The way they have it laid out is amazing. George Barber has a really eclectic mix of motorcycles in his collection. So he has some that are really funky and weird, like little European motorcycles that you've probably never seen anything like in your life. And then on the ground floor of that building, he actually has some cars that are pretty rare that are in his personal collection as well. So just visiting the museum for anybody, I think, is an interesting thing to do. And then the park itself is cool. There's a lot of unique sculpture around the park, and I think that's just a touch of George Barber's personality. So they have peppered the park with that, and there's some really unique pieces. There's a huge spider in the middle of the racetrack, and they affectionately call her Charlotte because she, is spinning her web in the middle of this huge race park. So it's a unique place for sure.
And that brings us to the number 1 park in the Birmingham area. This one's particularly appropriate for you RV travelers, Oak Mountain State Park. Oak Mountain State Park is technically about 15 or 20 miles outside of downtown Birmingham, but it is the largest park in the Alabama State Park system. And it's a really beautiful park with a really great RV camping.
Yeah, it's about a 10,000 acre park, so it's pretty sizable. There's a lot to do there. They have lakes that you can visit. You can fish, you can canoe. They have a nature center. They have like raptor facilities there, so you can see all the different types of birds of prey and that sort of thing. It's a pretty diverse park, that I think a lot of people may overlook.
There's hiking, there's horseback riding, and just great camping by the lake. So that's it, guys. 5 great parks for you to visit in the Birmingham, Alabama area. There are a lot of other parks around here as well. For example, Tanny Hill to the south. There is Red Mountain Park, if you want to go zip lining. So there are other parks you could seek out. These are 5 of our personal favorites.
These are great parks that'll sort of get you outside and moving around and seeing a part of our city while still being active, and it'll give you a way to work off all the food that you'll eat while you're here.
And actually, for those of you snowbirds who are traveling down to Florida, we would really encourage you to take I-65, come through Birmingham, instead of going over through Atlanta. Because once you've towed your RV through Atlanta one time, you'll probably be seeking out alternatives. So that's it, guys. A little taste of our hometown. We will do more videos about Birmingham in the future. But those of you who wanted to hear about maybe a destination you haven't heard much about, this was your video.
Yeah, it's a good stopover point for a couple of days, and it's worth checking out if you get a chance.
As always, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe. Like us on Facebook, follow us on the Twitters and Instagram.
Baby girl says, give us a thumbs up if you like this video.
Is that what you said, baby girl?
Yeah, I heard her. And she said, don't forget to subscribe.
She said give us a paw up, but I think she meant thumbs up. Is that what you meant? All right, thanks, baby. Until next time.
What do we say?
We say,
Lo,
lo, ho. Hey guys, if you like our videos, a great way to say gracias, senor, is to visit our store on Amazon. You can go directly to amazon.com/shop/longlonghoneymoon, or you can go to longlonghoneymoon.com and click the large supply store icon on the main page. The icon is so large, I don't even need my eyeglasses to see it. In our store, you will find all sorts of cool stuff, including Long Honeymoon hoodies, Long Honeymoon t-shirts, my hat, my shoes, my old underwear, my self-respect. Everything must go. Proceeds from our Amazon store are reinvested into our show, which requires large amounts of duct tape and lubricant to keep running smoothly. Who let the flies out?